We, Homo sapiens, like to call ourselves the wise ones. But we're not the whole story. We're the last ember of a fire that used to fill the world. Because before us, there were others, not animals, not monsters, humans. 7 branches, now lost. Some walked upright millions of years ago. Some shaped stone into knives. Some hunted giants under Ice Age skies. Some vanished without ever writing a single word. And yet, they still speak. Through bones, through caves, through the quiet DNA that still whispers inside us. This isn't a simple tale of one species rising. It's 8 versions of human, 8 answers to survival. So come back with me, before cities, before names, before certainty. Back when the human story was written in dirt, fire, and fear. The earliest spark in this family, Homo habilis, more ape than man. Until something changed. Around 2.4 million years ago in East Africa, a small being picked up a rock and sharpened it. Not mighty, not tall, but clever enough to turn nature into a tool, a crude edge, a broken flake. Not beautiful, just useful. And that's the point, because the first tool isn't just an object, it's a decision, a thought made solid, a quiet refusal to be helpless. With that one act, the world stopped being only a threat. It became something you could change, not with strength, but with intention. Then came Homo erectus, bolder and built for distance. Around 1.9 million years ago, Erectus left Africa and became the first human to step into the wider world. Wanderers, firekeepers, toolmakers, from Georgia to China, to the islands of Indonesia. Imagine standing at the edge of the unknown, with nothing but stone in your hand and a flame that must not die. They weren't racing, they were enduring. Season after season, heat that splits the earth. Cold that finds your bones. New predators, new diseases, new rivers you can't talk your way across. Just feet and time. And here's what stings the most. Homo erectus may have lived for nearly 2 million years, longer than any human species, us included. 2 million years of footsteps. And then silence. Next, Neanderthals. And they were not mindless brutes. They buried their dead. They made beauty in harsh places. They survived Ice Age Europe, with bodies built like fortress walls, stocky, strong, and shaped for cold. Picture their world. Glaciers in the distance, wind like a blade, herds that don't wait for you. They learned the land the way you learn a face, by reading it every day and remembering what it did last winter. And then they met strangers from the south. Us, early Homo sapiens, arriving in waves. Sometimes there was conflict. Sometimes there was closeness. Sometimes there was both in the same generation. If you have European or Asian ancestry, a small part of you is still Neanderthal. But around 40,000 years ago, they disappeared. Not all at once, not with a final battle, quietly, like a figure stepping backward into fog. Denisovans are even stranger, because we barely know what they looked like. No full skeleton, only a few bones and teeth, found in a Siberian cave. And yet, they were real. They ranged from the Tibetan highlands to Southeast Asian forests. Modern peoples in parts of Oceania still carry Denisovan DNA, a vast life reduced to fragments. That's the haunting part of deep time. A whole people can exist and leave behind almost nothing you can hold. In 2003, on the Indonesian island of Flores, scientists found something they couldn't explain. A tiny skeleton just over a meter tall, with a skull no bigger than a grapefruit. At first, they thought it was disease, but it wasn't. It was another human, Homo floresiensis, the hobbit. Small, but skilled. Tool user, hunter, fire knower. And the island makes it stranger. Islands don't forgive. You can't walk away from famine. You can't outrun a storm. You survive, or you don't. Yet they did, long enough to become their own kind of human. Some evidence suggests they may have lived as recently as 50,000 years ago. While other humans walked elsewhere, another branch persisted, alone, on an island. Did we erase them? Did disaster take them? Or did they fade in a way we'll never fully see? Then came Homo naledi, a discovery that felt like a glitch in time. At first glance, the bones looked ancient. Small brain, curved fingers, primitive shoulders. A creature from 2 million years ago. But the dates pulled the floor out. From under that certainty, Naledi was far more recent than expected. Alive not in some distant fog, but in a world already shared with other humans. And deep in those caves, another unsettling hint. Signs that bodies may have been placed deliberately, again and again. Not swept in by water, not scattered by animals, placed. If that's true, then human behavior isn't owned by big brains alone. Naledi isn't just a species, it's a reminder. Evolution doesn't move like a parade. It moves like weather, messy, overlapping, and impossible to fully predict. And then, another island, another surprise. In 2019, on the Philippine island of Luzon, scientists described remains, unlike anything seen before. Too small to be Neanderthal, too unusual to fit cleanly into our expectations. Meet Homo luzonensis, an island ghost. We don't yet know their full face. We don't know their full story. But we know this. They were human in their own way. Another branch we didn't even realize we'd lost. So stop imagining a ladder. There was no straight climb toward us. There was a crowded world. Multiple humans at once. Each adapted to a different edge of reality. Some were built for distance, some for cold, some for islands. That shrink life into hard choices. Some lived long enough to become legends without words. And for most of this story, Homo sapiens isn't the star. We're just another face in the crowd. Hold that thought, because it changes the feeling of everything. It means human wasn't a single identity. It was a category of possibilities. And then, finally, the last one standing steps into the frame, Homo sapiens. Appearing roughly 300,000 years ago in Africa. At first, just one species among many. A cousin in a crowded family. But we spread. Deserts, seas, mountains, forests. Flexible, social, imaginative. We learned to speak of what wasn't there. Past, future, spirits, gods. And along the way, we met them. Neanderthals, Denisovans, maybe others we'll never confirm. Sometimes we fought. Sometimes we mixed. Sometimes, simply by arriving, we replaced them. By around 10,000 years ago, the others were gone. So why did only Homo sapiens remain? Was it planning, cooperation, or something colder, outcompeting, pushing others aside? Some say it was climate. Some say it was chance. A swing of the world we survived, and they didn't. The deeper we look, the clearer it becomes. We were never alone. Once the world held many kinds of humans. They hunted, they mourned, they shared fire, and now they are gone, leaving us not as victors, but as the last survivors of a larger family. Look in the mirror. You see one face, but behind it are the lost seven, and the long, fragile chain of nights survived that somehow led to you.